Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good day, Hempster. Hello and welcome to another hemp-inspiring episode of HempAware Radio. Tyler Hemp here, your hemp entrepreneurial host, here to empower and hemp educate your hemposphere because it's important, as usual. And I just want to thank you for giving me some of your valuable time and awareness. It's no small thing. Your attention and your time are two assets or gifts that are possibly immeasurable. Although we do get paid or given some sort of value for our time, most of us anyway, and we give money to others to entertain us or serve our moment-to-moment attention, so to speak. And there's this thing I've heard recently from Gary Vee and a few other thought leaders on the topic of attention economy. And I'm not going to go into that topic too much today, but I do want to say that there's all sorts of crazy things that companies or institutions will do to get your attention, different software applications and psychological protocols and colors and sounds and all sorts of ways to get your attention. And the thing is, remember that it's your attention and it's your choice where you want to put or invest your time and your attention. It is a valuable asset. And so just thank you so much again for being here with me as I broadcast from the Upper Sacramento River and the Trinity Alps. I'm here in the northern part of the California Republic. And if you want to call in today, I'm going to be on the line just sharing some thoughts and going over some topics that might be somewhat disruptive to some, I guess, depending on how you discuss them and what perspective you're taking. But feel free to call in if you feel inspired, if you have any questions at 657-383-0045. And I'll maybe integrate that question into what we're doing here. So as you may have noticed, the title of this hempisode is What's Hemppening? Economics, Cultures, Ecosystems Fueled by Hemp. Can it be so? These are quite curious topics as you can go down a path of each of these and possibly, as I said, stir up some consciousness or maybe belief systems about each of these topics. Because when you're dealing with economics, you're, talking about business. You're talking about what runs the world or governs the world, essentially, the money and the energy. And that's why I say fueled by hemp. And this idea of ecosystems, what is that? Economics, what is that? Cultures, what is that? Like, I want to sort of identify or define a few of these things and relate them to the topic of hemp, of course, naturally. And so my intention for bringing up these areas of the human experience is to raise awareness. Hemp aware, hemp is the first part, awareness is the second part of our brand. And really to raise awareness about and foster ideas that support and create an environment of creativity and abundance and health and wholeness for all beings on this planet and beyond, potentially. So with that said, let's actually take a look at the first word in the title of this show. What is hempening? Obviously, economics. So this word economics, and I've actually covered on another episode, I did a talk on Easter a year or two ago, and I talked about food, shelter, clothing, and economics, and the origins of words and stuff like that. So check it out on one of the archived episodes, and if you want to dive deeper into that specific topic. But this word economics, nonetheless. Let's take a closer look at it. Eco comes from a Greek word oikos, and it means home. And then nomics, Nomics, is like numbers, basically, or management. It comes from the word, I think it's nomos, Nomos, which means manage. So this word economics literally means management of the household. Well, that's quite curious because, when we're dealing with economics, we're dealing with ships, cargo ships, trains, planes, physical goods, services. So why would it be households management? Well, that word eco, meaning home, we get other words that are related to it, such as ecology or ecosystem or ecosphere. Or when you go to school, you take the class called home economics. So that word home is not only like a physical structure that we live in. That's the first thing that most likely comes to mind is a house, like a physical dwelling place. And yet, if you think about it, our spirit, our soul, if you believe that you have one, which I do, is residing within your body. It is breathing you, so to speak. And that word breath actually comes from the Latin word spiritus. And so when we're inspired, we take a deep breath in. And when we expire, stop breathing. And when we conspire, that word's been demonized into conspiracy and conspiracy theory to hide things that otherwise may have not been hidden. But this word inspiration, conspiration, or conspire, to breathe together, to be inspired, and that's why it's called your respiratory system. So this spirit that breathes life into this physical body, called your physical human body, is the foundational home. And then we live in a home, in a house, a physical structure. And then beyond that, if you think about it, our environment, our actual earth is our home. And so we're dealing with three levels of household management. And I believe that is why this word economics is so interesting and crucial, because, pertaining to the management of our household, it really has to do with what is it that we're managing? Well, we're managing energy, I believe. And so whether it's, physical goods, food, services, it's value, and that value has a charge. And we're going to talk about this word money too. Like, money is a medium of exchange. And if you look at the word money, it also another word for it is change, like cambio. It's a Latin word for layer. And so when you have a new layer, you have a new perspective, and that's why when you go to the store, you get your change back. But if you want to make change in the world, you need money, right? So it's quite a curious synchronicity or just the parallels in the words. And if you look deeper, even into currency, and I have to commend and give credit where credit is due to Jordan Maxwell. And by the way, that's the hemp train of thought going by. Hope you're enjoying this so far. I appreciate your time and attention, as I mentioned. So to continue on that same vein, let's take a look at this word money and economics further. So economics is this management of energy in the household, and so we're exchanging our value. What one of my mentors at Anybody Can Make Change taught me: extra is our expertise, talents, resources, and abilities. And so we're literally exchanging our extra, the overflow, the abundance, the gifts, which is, again, EXTRA. EX is expertise, talents, resources, and abilities. That's your extra. And so as we come together and we exchange these things, who's doing that? Well, the cultures are doing that. And that's the second word in the title: economics, cultures, ecosystems fueled by hemp. So culture, comes from this word like cultivate. And the word human comes from humus, which is like earth or soil. And even in the Bible, it says, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul." And so it's that breath of life that animates the clay or the humus. And it gives the clay that charge, that clay being our physical bodies, our first home. And so as we look at this charge that we're given from this invisible realm, so to speak, we come into this physical world and we're exchanging energy and we're managing our energy. And it never turns off. When you're here, whether you're asleep or you're awake, it's always going. Time is moving forward. And so learning how to move with the flow of that is all about energy. It's all about relationships. And so on that topic of culture and community and people, it's to cultivate these cultures is to cultivate our minds, because the mind is what gives birth to the physical manifestation. It's body, mind, spirit is that trinity. And so our spirit governs the mind, which is our breath, essentially. That word breath comes from spirit. So being conscious and putting attention on your breath is what governs your mind, your state of mind, that you can actually control your autonomic nervous system. And that's what the ancient yogis have been teaching us about our breath and the power of prana and breathing in that vital life force to animate our bodies. So as we're learning how to exchange the value in a relationship, it's all about energy. It's all about this transmission or exchange of energy. And that's what relationships are. It's like a relay, and we're on a ship, and each person is like their own vessel. Each person is like their own ship, or we can form companies, which are known as vessels or corporations, a corpus, a corpse, a body. And so we use those bodies or those vessels to operate in what's called commerce. And that word commerce is commerce. So it's like a company on the water. Merce as in like mercer or merchant, or immerse into the water, or mar, M-A-R, is like the sea. And so commerce is the sea, and they call it, when it comes to law, there's the law of the land, which is the law of the people, the actual clay, and the law of the sea, the admiralty law. And so, I have to give credit to Jordan Maxwell. I didn't do that a moment ago, because he says, I'm just an ordinary man pursuing extraordinary knowledge and information, and that's what this is about. I'm definitely going out on a limb here, going onto these topics and talking about these words, but hemp can be a quite fascinating doorway into a world of revolutionizing consciousness. And I specifically mean that because of its entire message and intelligence that it brings us. And so back to this idea of economy, of relationships, of exchange. And this is something Jordan Maxwell, if you go on YouTube and check him out, but I'll do whatever justice I can to reiterate his dispensation of how intricate nature is with the idea of business and the idea of economy and the idea of money. And that is to say, so these vessels, right, they're sailing on the sea of commerce. And what do you have to do in order to stay in business? You have to make sails, right? So you got to make sure your sails are going, your sails are up, they have wind in your sails. Otherwise, if you don't, you'll end up becoming a sinking ship, and you'll have to liquidate. And that's why when you go down the river, you find river banks. And on those river banks, you find mineral deposits. And what do you do as a business? You go to the bank, you make your deposits, and you discharge your debts. It's all about energy and money and currency. So that's what essentially is governing our world is the water, the energy, and the currency. The currency, the current. You see, it's current. It's energy, but it's the currency. It's the flow. Like they say, do you have enough cash flow? And so all these words are intricately tied into economy. And to me, it's just so fascinating. I can't get enough of it, and that's why I wanted to do this sort of off the wall radio broadcast hemp episode on this topic. And so, back to this idea that we've got the cultures, the people, and they're exchanging the value, and they do that with money. But it's the people that create the value. It's the people that provide a service. They are the ones that either have the knowledge to build the machines to make the products and services, or they're out in the fields harvesting the plants and taking that energy and converting it into something of more value to provide to other cultures, to other people. And I find it quite curious, if you look on a microcosmic scale, we're made up of trillions and trillions of cultures. And so just as our body is made up of these trillions of tiny little microorganisms, we as a culture, whether it's humans or animals or fauna or insects, we're all small beings that make up one large being known as the earth. And so it's just so fascinating, when you think about a country, a nation. That word nation comes from natal, as in the womb, the mother. And so it's essentially one ecosphere, one ecosystem, one body. And so the more we can work from the inside out to live a pure and clean and healthy life, I feel that hemp is that vehicle to accomplish that. And some may challenge me. I certainly would love to be challenged on proving me wrong that this is not possible, which, would require people start growing hemp and actually building our homes out of it, and which it is happening around the world. Incidentally, upcoming this month, there's going to be a premiere of a hemp house or a hemp structure at the Solar Institute in Northern California, as well as a hemp education station at the Permaculture Convergence in Hopland, California coming up. Check out permacultureconvergence.com and you'll see demonstrations. Definitely already houses are being built out of hemp, but this idea of a healthy home, our inner body, utilizing the seed to feed us, to nourish us, and to provide us with energy. But then you take that seed and you turn it into clothing, you turn it into shelter. I mean, that's the three basic needs that Maslow's hierarchy he identifies, other than love and other than, air. Obviously, air and water are essential, but food, clothing, shelter are kind of like those basic needs that people require so that they can feel like they can contribute. If you don't have enough food, you're not going to be able to be a great contribution. You're going to be hungry or starving. If you don't have a home, you're not going to be able to regenerate and rest and recover and to be able to go out into the world and serve. And if you don't have clothing, well, you might end up in jail if you're going out into nature. But this idea that we're wearing such toxic clothing and we're building our homes with such toxic compounds and paints and, with lead and formaldehyde and carpets that are just unbearably toxic with glues and mites and all sorts of crazy dust particles that we breathe in and asbestos and, just chopping down our trees, chopping down our old growth forests is just literally destroying our home. And so I'm saying we've been doing a fairly good job of maintaining life on this planet, although we've been, we haven't killed ourselves yet. I know that apparently there's been some cataclysms, and I'm sure the earth is quite intelligent and will wipe out, humanity if we don't end up fixing our ways and changing our habits, which my whole point is hemp is that vehicle. Hemp can provide these healthier homes, healthier clothing, healthier foods, and be a bridge or a vehicle for transformation, be that vessel that I'm talking about when it comes to economy and be a steward. We can be stewards by honoring this plant and utilizing it for what it's worth and getting rid of the hypnosis, the hypnotism, so to speak. And so ecosystems fueled by hemp, if you think about what hemp does to the soil, it remediates the heavy metals and radiation. So not only is hemp nourishing and medicine for the earth, as John Trudeau would say, it's a medicine for the people by providing, when you have food and when you have shelter, when you have clothing, you can feel whole. You can feel more complete. And so it is all about wholesomeness and living a life full of wealth and abundance and health. And I believe everyone has that birthright. We come to this earth as our spaceship, and it's like a playground. It's a game, and so we can crack the God code, so to speak, I believe, with this plant. And I'm not even talking about going into the cannabinoid side of things. That's a whole topic for another day, but hemp is that vehicle for me, and that's why we've developed hempaware.com to be a hemp education station for every nation, and Bulk Hemp Warehouse, where we offer hemp food and hemp textiles and clothing and help people with hemp fibers to build their homes. And it's so inspiring. And when you get into it and you see the truth, most people are completely blown away at the reality. And so as you go down these rabbit holes and when you start looking at the economics and who's running our economics, that's something that Jordan Maxwell can dive into. If you have some time late night when you're watching YouTube, check out Jordan Maxwell's dispensations on economy and religion and secret societies and the occult world, which is the hidden world. That word occult in and of itself has been demonized so that people avoid the occult. But occult simply means hidden. And what is hidden is what is not seen. And what is not seen is beyond having to see it to believe it. Sometimes we have to have faith in things, and yet it's wise to say, I want to see it, taste it, touch it, feel it in order to know it. But knowing spirit, take a deep breath and you can know your spirit. That's the spirit right there. It's what keeps us alive and animates us. And hemp will clothe and adorn us and make us, look and feel amazing and be that vehicle for making hemp dreams come true. So I appreciate your time. I think I've covered all I'm going to cover on this hemp episode. Just wanted to give you some food for thought, some hemp seed to plant into your mind. Hopefully it will germinate and come into more questions, because remember, a question is the quest I am on. When you ask questions, it leads you down paths, and you will get specific answers dependent on the quality of your questions. In fact, the quality of your questions constitutes the quality of your life experience, in my opinion. So if you can come up with really good questions, you'll lead to profound answers. And I believe that's what we're all looking for as humans here in this human experience, is what are the solutions? Why and how can we prevent huge atrocities and murders and pillaging and rape and theft and drilling into the earth and destroying our ecosystems and destroying our rainforests or our old growth forests and polluting our house? It's like, just absurd what we've come to, and yet we still have an amazing potential. We are literally, as one of my mentors, Lou Corona, taught me, we are spiritual, electrical, unlimited beings capable of achieving anything that we set our hearts and our minds upon. And so I'm here to encourage you, don't give up. Whatever your dream is, I'm here to inspire you to at least do one thing with hemp and integrate and weave hemp into your reality. So come check us out on bulkhempwarehouse.com or hempaware.com. Get some hemp education. Send me an email for or a chat on Facebook or Insta, and let me know what you want to hear about coming up on Hemp Aware Radio. I'm intending on doing a lot more of these. So thank you again for tuning in. I hope you were hemp-inspired, and just want to share one last thing, which is that Hemp Aware is here to feed, clothe, and shelter 108 million people on Earth with cannabis hemp for the greater good of all. And that's the vision. I want to see as many people as possible living in hemp homes and eating healthy hemp foods and wearing comfortable and dialed in hemp clothing that people just look and feel amazing and doing what they love, having jobs that they appreciate. And that is, one of the biggest keys with hemp, is that it will provide almost unlimited job opportunity, from farmers to harvesters to developers of machinery, engineers, to product developers, educators, marketing experts. This world of hemp is going to provide, I believe, an abundance of economic opportunity, and it will ultimately influence and create a paradigm shift on our planet, in all of the cultures on Earth, our entire ecosystem. So there it is. Let's fuel this vision with more hemp and more consciousness and love and appreciation. I'll see you on the next episode of Hemp Aware Radio. Thanks so much for tuning in, Hempsters. See you soon.